Hello. Today I am going to talk about the EquatIO Google extension, which is a math extension. And I'm going to show you some of the features it has and how you could use it. When I did my Google Forms training, there were some questions about how you can utilize math with Google Forms. And really, without this extension, it is hard to do anything but simple problems with Google Forms because you can't insert some of the more complex math. And this equation is going to allow you to do that. So it is free for teachers. It is by Text Help, which is the same company that does read and write. So you can go to this website and fill out this little application looking thing, and it will give you an email and you can create an account for free as a teacher. It does have a student side to it, but that is a paid account. So you would need to keep in mind that students can't actually respond with any of the more advanced math equations without this extension, but you could use it to create assessments and possibly worksheets. So to get the extension, the EquatIO Math extension, you would go to the Chrome Web Store, you would type in EquatIO, and then you would add it to Chrome. When you do that, your extensions pop up on your toolbar up here. Sometimes they will actually show the icon depending on the settings. And if you don't see it, you can click that little puzzle piece and any of your other extensions will show up here. So you can see EquatIO is my top one. Once you have that on your browser, you're going to be able to use EquatIO in documents, forms, slides, any of those Google platforms that you can type on, you're now going to be able to insert math on. And the app really allows you to do it. You can insert fractions, complex equations, custom graphs, shapes for geometry problems. There really are a lot of options. And then I'll just really quickly show you what some of the features are if your students had this that you can do even if you're on other websites as well. So this is where I'm going to show you some examples on how the app works. So I'm going to actually open the app by clicking in my extensions. And you're going to notice that it's going to open a toolbar across the bottom of my screen here. All right, so I clicked that and I get this toolbar across the bottom. I have copy and pasted it up here. And I'm gonna just walk you through some of the different options that are on the toolbar that I think would be helpful. So the first option is the equation editor. And using the equation editor allowed me to put these two problems into my slide here. And I could have put this into a doc. I could have put it as a question in a form as well. So the equation editor is the first icon you see. And when you click on it down here on the bottom, it pops up this little math box. And in this box is where you're going to start typing out your equation. And you're going to type it out almost as you would say it. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did each of these equations. So my first one, which was 16.5 plus 2/3 equals, I created that equation by typing 16, and then I wanted to have 1/2. So I just start typing the word 1, and it's going to have some prediction of common things that start that way. If one of those is what you wanted, awesome. If not, you just kind of keep typing, but I hit return to put 1/2 in there, plus I hit return to get my plus sign, and now 2/3. And 2/3 is predicted. I put enter and then equals. And every time I see what I want, I hit enter. And now I have that equation. Once I have it and it looks the way that I want it to, I go down here and I say insert math. And it's going to insert it as an image on my slide. You can expand it, resize it. It does get a little fuzzy as you make it bigger. But it is as an image and you can move it around wherever you would like on your slide or your worksheet. So it's a pretty easy way to put fractions in there. And then I'll show you this equation with exponents and a fraction bar, how you could get that one. So again, if it's a number, I'm just going to type it. And this is 9 to the power of 7. So I'm going to say 2, and you can see that to the power pops up right away. I'm going to hit enter. And now whatever I write is going to be the exponent. So I put 7. If I keep typing, and if I just say plus, you're going to notice that it keeps the equation going in the exponent area. So if you wanted to have more information up there, you could. Otherwise, you just need to make sure you hit return. And then I can hit delete, and I'm back up in my equation to continue. So I'm going to say plus 4 to the power 3. Another option besides pushing return, like I want to get out of that exponent, is to just click with my cursor away from that. And my cursor is big again, so I'm not going to be in the exponent. I'm going to say over 2. I'm going to click to get out of the bottom of my fraction, equals, and there's my equation. And I can hit insert math. And it gets put onto my slide as an image that I can resize and move around. So there are a lot of options that you can create. There are also, if you start to type maybe the name of an equation or something like that, you'll notice that those equations will pop up and you can just hit return and they are put into your math. You can then change what those are, put different numbers in there, but it allows you to use some of those more complex math equations and get them put into a slide, a doc, or a form. So that was the first feature. That was the equation editor. And then if I go to my next page, the next icon that I want to go over is the graph editor. So you can see, here's my example. I created a graph and it has 2 points on it. If I click on the graph editor, it actually opens up a new window where I can put multiple points into a graph and I can choose to label them if I want. So you would start with a parenthesis and then whatever you want your point to be, it will graph it for you. And you could also do a label for it. You can put as many points of these that you would want to put on. And then you could pose your questions to students about finding, the distance between points or finding the rates, anything you wanted to do with your coordinate plane. And then again, I have my 3 points in there. I'm going to click insert graph and it's going to be inserted into my doc, or in this case, my slide, as an image that I can resize and I can move around. So if I was creating my own worksheet, or if I'll show you later how you could actually put that into a form, you can put a graph in there. The next one isn't my favorite feature, but it is an option. The next icon over is the handwriting recognition. So it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You can write on the left here and it will create your equation on the right. So if there was a problem that you wanted to write out, I find this kind of tough with the trackpad, but for an example, I could do the square root of 36 plus square root of 9 equals, and you can see on the right, it's created that into a math equation. And same thing, I hit insert math and it's going to show up. I find it kind of tricky to write that out, so I probably wouldn't use this feature a lot, but it is available. The next feature over is the speech input feature. So you can click on that microphone, and this feature is going to allow you to say the equation and what the equation needs to be, and then it's going to type it out for you. So I'm going to show you how I made this example on the right. You click this speech input record button, and I'm going to speak that equation so that it types it out for me. parentheses 4 plus 3i parenthesis 2 plus 5i parenthesis equals x. And then look over here on the right and make sure that equation looks the way I want to. Hit insert. So that might just be a time saver for you if you are able to do that. I'll do the example that I have on the right. Square root 36 plus square root 9 plus square root 49 equals. You see on the left, it's following your speech. On the right, it shows you what that math looks like, and then you hit insert math, and you get your image. So again, another option. So you really have three options. You can type the equation out, you can handwrite it out, or you can do the speech input. And again, you can do such a wide variety of equations with it. The last one that I wanted to show you was the math space. So that is this little cube on the bottom. When you click on that cube, it's going to open up a whole another window. And this is a space for you to create some math problems. And then you'll insert it the same way that we have been doing. So you are going to still be able to use equation editor. You're still going to be able to use the graph editor, any of those tools here, but you have some new tools in the math space. So you have shapes, and you can do simple 2D shapes. You can do 3D shapes. You can do coins, tangrams, 10 frames, base 10 blocks, Venn diagrams. There are fraction bars in here somewhere. You have a lot of options. So you could put a shape on here. You could use the equation editor to create the different equations or values that you wanted for the different parts of this shape. And then you could insert it as math that students need to work on finding the area. So you have shapes. Here is an example. Let's say if you used base 10 blocks. So you put it on your page, you can click off of it, and now you can pick which of the base 10 blocks you want. And you can duplicate it just with copy and paste. And you could create a problem where your students are using base 10 blocks. Again, lots of options in there. And then once you have what you want, up here on the right is where you insert it. And it's going to show up as an image, exactly how you laid it out, that you can put on your slide or your worksheet, and students can work from there. Also in the math space, so there's a lot of things you can really find in there: shapes, coins, lots of geometry things, and it gets pretty complex here. There are different, I don't even know, science related things that you might need, and then you'll see down here there are also just some different icons you can put in there. The next one over is called Smart Shapes. And this is kind of interesting and nice because these are shapes that you can customize. So we'll do a fraction bar. You can make a fraction bar, and over here in this pop-up, you can change how many segments are in your fraction bar, how many of those segments are shaded. And you could use this with your students and you can customize it. You could do a fraction circle. And again, you can change the segments and you can change what is shaded. We have angles that you can change the angle of, so you can actually put in what you want that angle to be. There are number lines, there are protractors, polygons that you can change the number of sides, clocks that you can set the time on. So these are shapes that you can really customize to fit maybe what kind of problem you wanted to make. And then the same thing, you would hit insert math, and whatever you built on this math space will be put in as one image. So how can you really use this to benefit what you're doing in your classroom? The first way you might choose to do it is to build your own worksheet, because if I open this document, Because this is a Google Doc, I'm going to be able to use that EquatIO extension, and I'm going to be able to insert any kind of problem that I want to into any of these boxes. So if this was a geometry worksheet, I can insert the shapes with the exact equations that I want them to be using. If it's a fraction worksheet, I can be inserting fraction bars. I can be typing out fractions. And then if it's a review worksheet, I can do all of those different things. So it's taking a little bit of time to load. So we're gonna, while we're waiting, also open up this next one. And let's see if I can demonstrate with the worksheet. So I'm gonna go up here to my extensions puzzle piece, and I'm gonna click on that extension, and I'm hoping that my toolbar will show up here on the bottom. And there it did. And now I have my options. If I want to insert an equation, I can do that. If I want to insert a shape, I could do that. So let's pretend I'm doing a geometry worksheet. I'm going to insert a shape for this first one and show you how it shows up. I am not a math person, so I do not know really what the equations would look like for this kind of problem, but I'm going to just take a guess. So let's say 3x plus 1. I'm going to insert that, and it's going to show up on my math space. Keep having to move my face around here. And now that it's in my math space, I could rotate it, I can resize it, but I can put it right next to whatever side of my triangle I wanted to, and I can do that multiple times. For the demonstration, I'm just going to put 1 in there. A hard problem to solve without all the information. But when I insert it, it's automatically putting that image where I had my cursor. Now I could give some directions to the student, like find the area, and they would solve it. If I wanted to insert an equation, let's do the speech. I might say 5/6 plus 1/4 minus 1/3 equals. I'm going to insert that math. And now I have a fraction problem there. So this is just an example about how you could use this equation to maybe build your own worksheet. It's also opening up the option for you to use Google Forms. So the one thing you would need to keep in mind about using Google Forms is students cannot respond with these math figures and equations because they don't have the extension. So you would need to offer multiple choice answers or options if your answer was going to include a special math figure or equation where they need certain things that are not available to them. So for example, this one, you could insert your shape, give the directions, and give your multiple choice answers. Here I have an equation that I inserted, and then my multiple choice answers would be what I provide to them. So we'll do a quick example of this one. I push the plus sign to add, and you'll notice that wherever I can type is this little blue box. That is EquatIO. So I click on that box and it pops open. Down here, my my toolbar. I'm going to go to the math space, and we're going to do an example of a fraction problem. And I'm going to use a fraction bar, and I'm going to customize my fraction bar to be 3/4. That's what I want. So I will do insert math. It's going to enter that image that I just created for me right in the question area, right below. And then I can type out my question. And I'm going to say, select the equivalent, if I spelled that right, fractions. And it has to be a multiple choice answer. Now for my option 1, I'm going to go back to my toolbar. I'm going to go back to the math space. I'm going to create another fraction bar, and the students are going to have to decide if it's an equivalent fraction or not. So just do one example of how it shows up in the answers. So it's converting that and it's showing it as this option, and it's going to give me the option of labeling it. I don't want it to have any label. I just want it to be a picture. I could write like option 1, option 2. This time I'm not. I'm going to add one more. And then we're going to look and I need to get EquatIO up. We're going to look and see what it looks like from the student. So I'll put one more fraction bar in there quick. I'm not worrying about if it's actually fitting my problem. Okay, and you can see that that fraction bar was pretty big on my math space, but it's like shrinking it down here so that they're all the same size. So if I preview this as a student, what your student would get would be a question with those math figures, and then they would be clicking on their response. And if you've included an image, it will show up kind of as this little button for them to select. So it's opening up Google Forms really to be used for math, as long as you can provide the multiple choice answers. And just like all Google Forms, it's you would have to front load it. You have to get your assessment into Google Forms, which takes a little bit of time. But if you're using multiple choice questions like this, Google Forms will correct it for you. So you could indicate what the right answer is, and then it would be corrected for you. So this extension just kind of opens that option up for math. The last thing I want to show you super quickly is just what EquatIO can do if students had the extension available to them. So I linked a worksheet here from the internet, a fractions worksheet. If a student were to open EquatIO because they have that and they're not in one of those Google platforms, they get this toolbar that shows up. And one of the things that's kind of nice is they can click this screenshot reader. They can select an area, and then the computer is going to read it to them.
Five and 1/10 plus 1/10 equals.
So that's similar to the read and write feature. That's available, would be available to them. And the other one I could see them using a lot is the calculator, which they can, a scientific calculator they could access from any site. But again, that is paid, so students would have to have access to a paid subscription for them. Hopefully, you heard about something during this tutorial or this little information about EquatIO they think might benefit you. And if you are interested in testing it out or using it to make an assessment or a worksheet, remember, this is the website that you will go to, and you would fill out this little application, and you will get a free premium subscription because that you are an educator. So you have to indicate like where you work and make sure you have your work email in there. But it was a really easy process. And then you would be able to do that for any of those Google platforms that you can type on. If you are interested in getting the extension and you have any questions or you're running into any troubles with it, just reach out and I can help you get set up with that. Otherwise, if you get it and you're trying to use it and you run into questions, reach out to me with those as well. Have a good day.